But now we're changing the topic to something that you actually might find in your garden. The world is actually suffering a food crisis, with this population set to rise to 9 billion, and that means we will have to double our food supply. There we go. Sorry, a little bit of tongue-tied this morning. Food supply. That means that can be very devastating to Mother Nature. Now, experts believe that we should actually turn to a more sustainable source of food, and that being insects. Like I said, you'll find them in your garden. Now, insect cuisine could be the next big food trend, and we're asking you on Facebook, would you eat bugs if they were tasty? Join in the conversation on our Facebook page, Expresso Morning Show, SABC3, also on Twitter at Expresso Show, and tell us, would you eat bugs if they are tasty? But this idea has gained a lot of traction, and a cookbook has been released showing some of the best insect recipes, if you will, out there, and showing that they're not only nutritious, but can also be very delicious. So let's take a look at this very interesting cookbook.
Does the thought of insects on your platter leave you squirming in your seat? The thought of eating beetles, caterpillars and worms may give you the creeps, but more than 1,900 species of insects are eaten around the world. Although they are a valued source of protein in many tropical regions, people in the West generally turn their noses up at the likes of grasshoppers, termites and other crunchy fare. But the tide is turning. Chefs and restaurants are dishing up menus with caterpillars, termites, grasshoppers, ladybugs and almost anything that can fly or crawl going into the frying pan. According to Arnold van Hees, an entomologist at Wageningen University in the Netherlands, insects can potentially provide food security to the world.
Well, there are numerous advantages of eating insects, especially environmental advantages, greenhouse gas emissions, land use, etc. We need alternative, let's say, for our conventional meat, because 70% of all agricultural land is already used by livestock. So we need an alternative if the meat demand is going to grow by about 50%.
Hayes studies the eating of insects, also known as entomophagy, and is the author of a new insect cookbook titled Edible Insects: Future Prospects for Food and Feed Security.
In fact, we eat already insects. There is a coloring substance, for example, carmine, cochineal, which is a scale insect, which is used to color candies or yogurt, but also in peanut butter or in fruit juice. Often the remains of insects are there, so we do it already.
The book aims to get foodies thinking about insects as a valuable source of nutrition.
Yeah, normally we gave lectures about the eating of insects, and then we asked Henk to prepare, let's say, the insect dishes. So that's how the idea came about of producing an insect cookbook. In the cookbook you find all kinds of dishes, but not only recipes. We have the practices from all over the world about eating insects.
Filled with dozens of recipes like grasshopper, chop choy and cupcakes filled with mealworms, the book contains everything you need to know about cooking with insects, where to buy them, which ones are edible and how to store and prepare them. According to a UN report, with the threat of a major food shortage looming over us, people may not have an option but to consume insects in the near future. It predicts that by 2050, the global population will rise to 9 billion people, requiring twice as much food than we produce right now. The question is, could you handle a creepy crawly on your plate for breakfast? In the future, you may just not have a choice.